Welcome to the second video to help introduce our classroom. In this video, I'm going to explain three things: standards-based learning, assessments, and the gradebook. Standards-based learning is a learning environment where the teacher, students, and parents focus on the student's learning. First, the learning standards are identified, then students are given ample opportunity to practice, and finally students demonstrate their proficiency and feedback is provided to continue the learning process in weaker areas. Students can reassess until proficiency is shown. Standards-based learning also means that the grades are determined based on the proficiency of the learning standards. Academic behaviors and life skills are important and will be addressed in our class daily and communicated as needed. However, they will not be factored into grades. These are some examples of what I mean. Remember, grades are a communication based purely on academic proficiency. The learning standards are written using the Common Core, but in a language that is more friendly to students and parents. The learning standards are visible to students and parents on the syllabus, in the lesson videos, assessments, Schoology, and on the classroom walls. Each unit in our course will have 2 to 4 learning standards. Some standards will be identified as essential standards. These were selected because of their importance in later units and subsequent courses. This is an example of a learning standard from our first unit. Along with the learning standard, students will be given a list of skills that support their success on that standard. They will also be given a list of learning opportunities. This is a snapshot from our syllabus from the first unit. Let's go on to assessment. The purpose of assessment is to determine if students have learned and are able to show proficiency on learning standards. In our class, you will be encouraged to reassess any standard you've not learned. What is the difference between formative and summative? A formative assessment is all ongoing work and practice prior to a summative and used to inform the student and the teacher where more learning is needed. A summative assessment is given at the end of the unit and summarizes the learning. Students have the opportunity to reassess. A formal formative assessment, or FFA, is actually just a quiz, but in our class, we're going to use quizzes as a checkpoint on our learning. Students will receive feedback on their progress towards proficiency on an FFA the same way they receive notes on a rough draft essay in their English class. When we review formative work, students should note their areas of weakness and strength. We'll do this by using reflection to cement the concepts and decide if more practice is needed. Students will assign a learning level mark to their own FFA, which I then will record in the gradebook. This is only for progress and will not be used to determine a grade. These are the learning level marks. A 4 and a 3 says that they've either exceeded or reached the necessary proficiency on a standard. A 2 or a 1 means that they have not yet met it and they should reassess. At the end of a unit, after multiple formative assessments are given, students will be asked to demonstrate their proficiency on the 2 to 4 standards that were taught and practiced in the unit. It's like a unit test. Similarly to the formative assessment, students will receive feedback on their learning and a learning level mark will be assigned. There are a few differences between summatives and formatives. First, there will be multiple standards assessed on a summative assessment. Second, summative assessments learning level marks will be assigned by me and will be used to determine the final grade. Third, students will be required to reassess any standard below a 3 on a summative assessment. I care about your learning, so if you're not proficient yet, you'll need to try again. So what steps are required for reassessment? Well, first, students should meet with the teacher to verify the quality of the learning opportunities that were already completed. Additional practice may be prescribed. When that practice is complete, you can reassess. The new score will replace the old in the gradebook. So what will be seen in the gradebook? You're going to see 3 categories. The first is formative work, which will be recorded with scores from 4 to 0, but these don't count as a grade. Second is the summative assessments, and these will be reported again separately for each standard using a 4 through 0. Academic behaviors will also be communicated regularly. A few things to keep in mind when viewing the gradebook. Although formative work will be recorded, only summative scores will be factored into the grade. If you have a score below a 3 on a summative assessment, you need to relearn and reassess. A traditional letter grade will not be visible until the end of each quarter. For more information on final grade determination, please watch Part 3.